Live from Rapid City, Post 22 Baseball is on the air. It's the final day of pool play in the 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World. The final opponent for Post 22 to take on would now be their longtime participant in this tournament and rival, they're speaking, the Rocky Mountain Lobos out of Fort Collins, Colorado. With that being said, we say good evening and we welcome you inside our broadcast booth, aptly named Rudy's Corner, here at Dave Plouffe Field at Floyd Fitzgerald Stadium. This is Mark Benetti alongside you here on ESPN Rapid City, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and as always, stream live on the internet on Hardhats-TV. Post 22 has run through the gauntlet so far at a perfect record, and they look to cap it out at a perfect 5-0 in 5 pool games tonight. With this being said, every matchup for tomorrow's placement games on the 4th of July is already determined. So we have all 3 of our game slots, and the times have been moved up a little bit as well, just to accommodate for travel of some of the visiting teams to the tournament. First off, let's go ahead and recap the day's action. Earlier today in the morning game, Premier West got their second win of the tournament by defeating the Missoula Mavericks by a 4-1 score, and then Wayne Newton Post 346 ended up defeating the Merced Volunteers out of Merced, California Post 84 by an 11-6 final. That puts the standings prior to tonight's final matchup of the group stage as follows. Post 22 still the last undefeated team with a perfect 4-0 record under their belt, while Wayne Newton Post 346 follows in second at 4 wins and a loss. Rocky Mountain Lobos also playing their last game against the Hardhats tonight are at a dead even 2-2, while the Premier West Cardinals, their Rocky Mountain rival, sit at a 2-3 record. The Missoula Mavericks and both the Merced Volunteers have finished with 1-4 records. So that means Merced and Missoula will square off in tomorrow morning's game that has been rescheduled to 9 in the morning, while Premier West and Rocky Mountain will rematch in a Rocky Mountain showdown in the second game, which has been rescheduled to 11. That'll allow both of those teams and both of those sets of combatants, I should say, to leave early and get home for the rest of the holiday. That means that we are guaranteed a showdown and rematch against Wayne Newton Post 346 out of Terre Haute, Indiana tomorrow night. That game is still at the same time. It will be played at 5 o'clock here at Floyd Fitzgerald Stadium. What needs to be determined is, will the Hardhats be 5-0 or will they be 4-1 heading into the matchup? I guess it's safe to say that with regards to placement, this game is useless in a sense, but the Hardhats do want to go perfect in pool play. They want to guarantee home field for the championship against the Wayne Newton Post 346 club out of Terre Haute, Indiana. That was quite a game on Sunday night. The Hardhats, when you look at the box score, really should not have come anywhere close to winning that game with 9 walks, 7 hit batsmen from pitching, and then 3 errors from the infield defense. It was very ugly, to say the least, but the Hardhats showcased resilience and work ethic. Somehow, they managed to pull it off, and they were able to get the win against Wayne Newton Post 346. That serves as the only loss right now for Wayne Newton. The Hardhats, again, they have not lost in this group stage yet. Last night's matchup against the Premier West Cardinals, we all thought was going to be a close one because Premier West has historically played this team very tough in the past. However, it turned out to be a massive blowout, and it could have been a completely different ballgame. A brief recap of last night before we get into tonight's starting lineups. Branson Keel got the start for Post 22, and he gave up a leadoff single, followed by a pop-out to second, but then he walked 2 in a row, and that loaded the bases up for Premier West. Keel, in a jam with bases loaded and 1 out, fanned the next 2 batters he saw. Hardhats went 1-2-3 on offense in the bottom half of the inning. We get to the second. We think Keel's going to adjust. He's going to get his control under control, and instead he hits the first batter that he sees on a 1-1 pitch. Before you know it, he fans the next 2 and induces a pop-out, and all of a sudden what looked like it could have been a pretty bad inning ended up being favorable for the Hardhats, in which they did not allow any runs at all. Then we get to the bottom half of the second, and the Hardhats notch 11 runs on 8 hits, including 4 home runs in the inning, and 2 of them back-to-back. all 4 of them came within a span of 6 batters. It started off with Mason Messenger in the 9-hole, a 3-run blast. 2 men later, Matt Hegre went yard. 2 men later, Jack Sorensen goes yard, both of those gentlemen with 2-run blasts. And then Jace Caldwell decided he wanted to join the party, and he nailed a solo shot on the brand-new pitcher that was substituted into the game for Premier West. So Post 22 really got their money's worth in the bottom half of the second. They added another to make it 12-0 heading into the second third of the ball game. As we went to the top of the 4th, that's when Premier West took advantage of a couple of errors against the Hardhats, not necessarily fielding errors. There was only 1 registered in the inning, but Premier West ended up getting 4 runs on 4 hits in the frame. That made it 12-4, and now you're starting to think, all right, well, there's still an 8-run gap. Maybe the Hardhats can hang on to that if Premier West starts fighting back a bit. The Hardhats ended up adding 6 more runs, and they won the ball game by a final score of 19-4. 19 runs, 15 hits, and an error for Post 22, while Premier West managed 4 runs on 9 hits and a pair of errors in the field. So last night was just another dominating game for Post 22. They have won 19-4 against Premier West, 13-12 on a walk-off against Wayne Newton, 8-5 in a rain-shortened game against Merced, and a whopping 15 rip against the Missoula Mavericks, which included a Dylan Ritchie no-hitter. And while we all knew that the no-hitter was going to be a big deal, it came in such an unconventional fashion that we never really picked up on it until seconds after the game was over, and I looked down at my final box score and I saw no hits and thought to myself, oh, wait a second, this happened too. Not only did the Hardhats get a 15-0 rout under their belt, but their starting pitcher managed to not allow a hit. Looking back at that box score, Dylan Ritchie was just simply sensational, went the distance of 5 innings, 83 pitches. He only hit 1 batter. He struck out 4 and he walked 5. But again, no runs allowed and no hits allowed either. So a great matchup for Dylan Ritchie. I would almost imagine that tomorrow he's going to get the nod for Post 22 on the mound for the Firecracker Championship to take on Wayne Newton Post 346. We're still waiting on our umpires to come out onto the field for tonight's matchup. And we're also still waiting for our pregame festivities to begin in just a few moments. Post 22, quite busy tonight, with tonight being the fireworks showcase after tonight's matchup, and that is why we have such a high-capacity crowd right now. It looks fantastic to see these seats full. I ran into a lot of old friends that I hadn't seen in a while simply because I'd been busy with my obligations with the team here and with other things in life. Everybody, whether they're a baseball fan or not, comes out for this game in particular because of the fireworks and the spectacle that is to follow tonight's matchup. But it was great running into some old friends on the way. They are so amped up for the fireworks, and people are still walking around the concourse. People are still trying to look for their seats as we are just moments away from the beginning of our pregame festivities. We have the Camping World American flag out, and for those locally that don't know what that means, the local Camping World in town has what I have been told and what I have researched and found to be true as the largest American flag in the state of South Dakota, and they have tasked the help of Little Leaguers, the Bullets. I think some of the Expos are holding on to it as well, and any assorted children that want to take in this festivity prior to first pitch tonight. The flag is massive. I'm trying to remember because the Rapid City Rush hockey team had it twice that I recall for games, for pregame ceremonies, including at this year's Military Appreciation Night, in which the Rush won in overtime 3-2 against Colorado. That it's 80 feet long, I believe. It is huge. And now we start seeing the Little Leaguers and the Expos and Bullets and company ushering the flag out onto the field, which now has targeted Wayne Newton, not Wayne Newton, Wayne Sullivan, our general manager, to call the starting lineups as our public address announcer tonight. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at these lineups, and we'll look at Rocky Mountain first as they are batting in the top halves of our 9 innings of regulation tonight. Leading off for Rocky Mountain is number 3, Jeff Hoggett. He's patrolling right field. Batting second is number 8, Sam Cathcart. He's patrolling center field. Batting third is number 30, Cade Nelson. He'll serve as the starting pitcher tonight for the Lobos. And in the cleanup position is number 24, Ben Knauer, and he's out at first base. Batting fifth is number 17, Garrett Fisher. He's in the hot corner at third base. Batting sixth is number 22, Jaron Pifo. He is the catcher and backstopper. Batting seventh is number 47, Aaron Laux. He is the shortstop. Batting eighth is number 33, Will Vasseur. He is playing at second base. And rounding out the batting order in the ninth spot is number 2, Noah Berner, and he is patrolling left field. And again, Cade Nelson, number 30, is the starting pitcher for the Rocky Mountain Lobos tonight. He will take on the post-22 batting order as follows in the bottom halves of our 9 innings of regulation tonight. Leading off for post-22 is number 13, Connor King. He's patrolling center field. Batting second is number 21, Matt Hegre. He's in the hot corner at third base. Batting third is number 22, Cooper Bowman. He is the shortstop. And in the cleanup position is number 23, Jack Sorensen, and he is playing at first base. Batting fifth is number 30, Jace Caldwell, serving as the designated hitter tonight. Batting sixth is number 15, Zach Sumption. He's patrolling right field. Batting seventh is number 18, Alex Weaver. He's patrolling left field. Batting eighth is number 17, Todd Stevens. He is the backstopper and catcher tonight for the Hardhats. And rounding out the batting order in the ninth spot is number 12, Mason Messenger. He's out at second base. On the mound tonight for the Hardhats is Zach Weitzel to play in this final group stage game of the 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World. Weitzel comes in for his 10th appearance on the season and his 7th by virtue of a start. A perfect 5-0 record under his belt with 35 innings of work on the season to his credit. He has a dead-even ERA of 2. And 23 strikeouts to 17 walks. He's allowed 28 hits on the season in his 35 innings of work, as well as 21 runs. But only 10 of them are earned runs. So on 11 occasions, his defense was unable to help him seal the deal. So Zach Weitzel, not a lot going against him, which is good to see, that he is not penalized for any of that. Zach has showcased a lot of consistency this season, and that's exactly what Coach Torvey and company are looking for tonight in this final group stage matchup against Rocky Mountain. Rocky Mountain tonight will either finish 3-2 or 2-3. Post-22 will either finish an undefeated 5-0 or suffer their first loss of the tournament and go 4-1. And the matchups are set. Rocky Mountain tomorrow will take on Premier West in a Rocky Mountain showdown, 2 teams out of Colorado, while the Hardhats will rematch against Wayne Newton Post 346 out of Terre Haute, Indiana. Missoula and Merced will play in the bottom 5th place game. Both teams finished with 1-4 records in the group stage. Well, folks, we are done now with starting lineups. We're going to take a step aside. When we come back, we will have the procession of our massive flag of the United States of America, the performance of the national anthem, and first pitch for the final showdown of group play between the Rocky Mountain Lobos and your Post-22 Hardhats. Stick around, folks. You are listening to Post-22 Hardhats Baseball here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Our massive flag of the United States of America is being folded up at the moment. The colors have been officially retired from the Rapid City Fire Department Honor Guard. And we still have a couple more pregame festivities going on as we get set for tonight's final showdown of the group stage here in the 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World. This final matchup featuring the Rocky Mountain Lobos out of Colorado and your Post 22 Hard Hats. Once again, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on ESPN Rapid City. Mark Benetti alongside you on 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and as always, stream live on the internet on Hardhats-TV. Post 22 looking to run the table at a perfect 5-0, while Rocky Mountain is looking to spoil the Hard Hats party and finish over 500 on the tournament. Earlier today, the Premier West Cardinals defeated the Missoula Mavericks. 4-1 was the final. And Wayne Newton Post 346, and we've already guaranteed a rematch against in the championship game tomorrow for Post 22. Took on Merced Volunteers out of Merced, California, and they won 11-6. Final standings as of right now, prior to the playing of this game, Post 22 at the top of the standings at 4-0. The Wayne Newton Post 346 club finished with a 4-1 record. Rocky Mountain is at 500 at 2-2. Premier West finished with a 2-3 record. Missoula Mavericks and the Merced Volunteers both at 1-4. The matchups are already determined. In the 5th place game tomorrow at 9 in the morning, it'll be Missoula against Merced. It'll be a rematch of the Rocky Mountain Showdown between Premier West and Rocky Mountain tomorrow at 11 in the morning. And then the Hard Hats and Wayne Newton 346 will play at 5 o'clock on the 4th of July. Post 22, ready to rock and roll. They have now taken the field to their respective defensive positions. Zach Weitzel and his right arm on the mound, starting off this ball game for Post 22 pitching. His 10th appearance of the season. It'll be his 7th by virtue of a start. He has a perfect 5-0 record to his credit in 35 innings of work. An even ERA of 2.0, 23 strikeouts to 17 walks, and the more impressive thing about his ERA is that he's allowed 21 runs on the season. Only 10 of them have gone against Zach. Only 10 earned runs, which means on 11 other occasions, his defense didn't necessarily help him out. So Zach not necessarily penalized for that, which shows that he can bring consistency to the Hard Hats on the mound. And in his first year as a Hard Hat as well, he's done very well for himself. It's not easy to acclimate to the varsity level, especially in the pitching role, well, let alone any role, but there is so much pressure on the pitcher. Statistically, it's the equivalent of the goaltender in hockey. The statistics are almost congruent, especially in how they're formulated as well. There's so much pressure on a goaltender in hockey, even more on a pitcher. And the pitcher has the direct result in the game because he's responsible for putting the ball in play. So think about that. Zach will take on the top three in the Rocky Mountain order in Jeff Hoggett, the right fielder, Sam Cathcart, the center fielder, and Cade Nelson, his pitching counterpart. The Hard Hats come in one last time on the mound and knock their Hard Hats together, which means they are ready for battle. The defensive alignment for the Hard Hats has Weitzel and his right arm on the mound, paired up with his battery mate and catcher Todd Stevens behind home plate. At first is Jack Sorensen, at second Mason Messenger, at shortstop Cooper Bowman, and in the hot corner at third is Matt Hegry. Left to right in the outfield, Alex Weaver, Connor King, and Zach Sumption. Jeff Hoggett, the right fielder, will step in. A right-handed batter here for this Rocky Mountain club. Zach Weitzel looks in to Todd Stevens. Yogi Milslegel calling the balls and strikes behind home plate. Robert Bradford's on the base path. And the first pitch is fouled over catch 22. 0-1 the starting count to Hoggett. We've officially begun at 7:03 tonight. Shameless plug for catch 22. You can get all your Post 22 merchandise there at the Fitz every home game that the Hard Hats play. 0-1 pitch. Missed low, a fastball, and the count evens up at a ball and a strike. 1-1 now to Hoggett as we have just begun the final game of pool play between Post 22 and Rocky Mountain. 1-1 pitch. Missed low and away again. 2 balls and a strike. The count to Hoggett. Weitzel looks in for a sign, gives a big sigh. And here is his 2-1 pitch. Just missed low again, 3-1. Weitzel started off with a good first pitch strike, getting a foul off of Hoggett. He has missed low his last 3 pitches. 3-1 pitch swung on, and it's chopped to the left side of the infield, and a diving Cooper Bowman can't get the stop. It's in the left for a base hit. Hoggett starts off with a leadoff single for Rocky Mountain here at the top of the first, and that'll bring up Sam Cathcart, the center fielder. Cathcart, also a right-handed batter, will step in against Weitzel. Leadoff man is on. That is Jeff Hoggett on first base. No one out here in the top of a scoreless first inning. Weitzel will now transition to the stretch. First pitch. Called strike. Fastball at the knees of Cathcart. It's 0-1. Cathcart looking for some signs. And now steps back in. Pretty open stance for this right-handed batter. Righty and Weitzel's 0-1. That's low. Stevens gets the block, and the count will even up at 1-1. The Rocky Mountain Lobos are coached by Scott Bullock. The assistants are Glenn Schwab, Ian Wells, Jake Stewart, and Nathan Thurlow. 1-1 pitch called. Strike on the outside corner, and it's 1-2 to Cathcart. Zach Weitzel, 23 strikeouts on the season. He is looking for 24 on this next pitch. Weitzel looks to first from the stretch. Here comes his 1-2. And that missed low and away. And the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 now to Cathcart. Hoggett takes his lead off of first. 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. That'll be strikeout number 1 for Zach Weitzel. It'll also be the first out of the inning. And that brings up Cade Nelson, the pitching counterpart of Weitzel. Nelson steps in as a left-handed batter. First lefty of the night for Weitzel to face off. This is also the first mismatch from pitcher to batter. First pitch is upstairs. Ball 1. Throw to second is in time as the runner went and they caught Jeff Hoggett stealing. Hoggett got a terrible jump off of first. He tried the delayed steal and he had no momentum at all. Stevens with a great throw. That's 2 down. At an empty base path, 1-0 the count here to Nelson, the lefty. And here's his 1-0 pitch. Swung on, ball's lined into left center field, and that drops for a base hit. So Nelson gets the second hit of the inning. It's a 2-out single, and that'll bring us to Ben Knauer, the first baseman. Knauer, a right-handed batter. And it looks like Yogi Milslegel, our home plate umpire, talking with the Lobos third base coach. I would imagine that is Scott Bullock over there on third. Normally the head coach does take third base at this level. Tad bit of lightning over to the right of our box. First pitch to Knauer, a called strike at his knees, 0-1. I would hate for that to delay the game. We have dealt with enough delays, especially at the start of this tournament. The first 2 days were just waterlogged. Here's the 0-1. Swung on, ball's lined high in the air to left field. That ball has some distance, but Alex Weaver runs to the warning track. He makes the catch, and that will end the top half of the first inning. No runs, 2 hits, no errors charged to the Hardhats, and a man left on first. We played half an inning of baseball, still scoreless, and Post 22 will come to bat for the first time tonight. We'll take a step aside and come right back with the bottom of the first and the top of the Hardhats order here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Post 22 now transitions from defense to offense. And Connor King, Matt Hegre, and Cooper Bowman will start off against Cade Nelson. He bats left. He is a right-handed pitcher. He's a pretty stocky right-handed pitcher, so he could showcase some good velocity. He's working on a lot of his breaking pitches right now in his warm-ups with the catcher, Jaron Pifo. Real quick, the Hardhats batting order is as follows. Connor King, the center fielder, first. Matt Hegre, the third baseman, second. Cooper Bowman, the shortstop, third. Jack Sorensen, the first baseman, in cleanup. Fifth is Jace Caldwell, the designated hitter. Sixth, Jack Sumption, the right fielder. Seventh, Alex Weaver, the left fielder. Eighth, Todd Stevens, the catcher. Rounding out in the ninth spot is Mason Messenger, the second baseman. Defensive alignment for Rocky Mountain has Cade Nelson and his right arm on the mound, paired up with the catcher, Jaron Pifo. At first is Ben Knauer. Second, Will Vasseur. At shortstop, Aaron Laux. In the hot corner at third, Garrett Fisher. Left to right in the outfield, Noah Berner, Sam Cathcart, and Jeff Hoggett. Connor King steps in, the only lefty in the Hardhats lineup. And his first pitch missed just low below his knees. 1-0. King comes into the matchup batting .286 on the season. And is 1-0. Called strike. A fastball on the outside corner. 1-1. Connor King leads the Hardhats with 32 walks on the season. That makes him a prototypical leadoff man. He looks at ball two on the low outside corner. 2-1. Just started the bottom half of the first inning here at the Fitz. Still scoreless between Rocky Mountain and post 22, and the 2-1 is a fastball outside. 3-1 to King. Nelson pitching from the stretch, and the 3-1. Pitch is swung on and fouled to the left of my press box. Behind home plate, and the count goes full now to King. King, a great ratio. He's walked 32 times. He has struck out 17. And his next pitch is low for ball four. So a leadoff walk for Matt Hegre. And that will bring up Matt Hegre, the third baseman. Hegre steps in, batting .306 on the season. Last night, Hegre had a 2-run home run in that monster bottom of the second. First pitch swung on, lined in the air to left field, and that drops for a base hit, and it's snagged by a diving Berner. Berner gets it in. It took a hop, but the way he dove, it bounced right into his glove, so he's able to trap it down to the turf. And Hegre gets a single. Now it's men on first and second, and Cooper Bowman steps in. Cooper Bowman, the most lethal threat in the order. He's batting .507 on the season. He's knocked in 50. He's scored 61 times, 13 doubles, 10 triples, and 5 times he has left the ballpark. Men on first and second for Bowman. Still no one out in the bottom of the first. We are in a scoreless deadlock between Rocky Mountain and post 22. Final game of pool play of the 2018 Firecracker, presented by Camping World. Bowman's first pitch called strike. A nice breaking ball inside from Nelson. 0-1 to Bowman. Nelson again from the stretch, looks to first and second. King on second, Hegre on first. 0-1 pitch swung on, ball's chopped to short. Laux can't get the stop, it bounces off of him, it goes into center field. King's gonna come around to score, and Hegre will take an extra bag and go to third. And E6, that knocks in a run, and the Hardhats strike first against Rocky Mountain. 1-0 with men on the corners and no one out here in the bottom of the first. Connor King comes around to score. Bowman to reach on the E6. Men on the corners now brings up Jack Sorensen. Sorensen last night hit a 2-run home run as well in that bottom half of the second. Check to first, not there in time, and Bowman's back safely. Jack Sorensen on the tournament's batting .267. And another check to first is not there in time, and Bowman's back. Bowman on first, Hegre's on third, as Sorensen still has yet to see a pitch. And the first one comes inside, 1-0. 0-0 strikes the count to Sorensen. Next pitch is ripped foul, first base side. And the count evens up at a ball and a strike. Sorensen on the tournament has 4 hits, 3 of them singles, 1 of them the home run he hit last night. He's walked 4 times, but he has struck out 5 times in the tournament, and that leads everyone that's played in the Firecracker so far. Next pitch, low and inside. 2-1 now to Sorensen. Men 90 feet to his left and right. Still no one out here in the bottom of the first. Nelson, 2-1 pitch. Runner goes. It's a called strike, and the throw to second is not in time. 2-2 the count to Sorensen as Cooper Bowman is credited with stealing second. It'll be 2 men in scoring position now for Sorensen at a 2-2 count against Nelson. Nelson stretched 2-2. Low and away, and the count goes full. Jack Sorensen's batting .350 with runners in scoring position. He has 2 of them standing there right now. 1 pitch can either load the bases, register the first out, or deal some serious damage. And it'll load the bases as the 3-2 is low for ball 4. So now it's a walk to Sorensen. Bases are loaded. That's going to bring up another deep threat in Jace Caldwell. And we're going to have a conference on the mound here with the entire infield and the coaching staff of Rocky Mountain. Jace Caldwell, second on the team in batting average behind Cooper Bowman among qualified batters. He is batting .429 on the season. Caldwell hit his 3rd home run of the year last night as the final run scored in that bottom of the second in which the Hardhats played at 11. 48 for 112 on the season and 130 plate appearances. 28 singles, 15 doubles, a pair of triples, a trio of home runs. Caldwell on the tournament batting .500. And he's batted in every game so far. First pitch with the bases loaded. Called strike at an off-speed pitch. 0-1 to Caldwell. No balls and a strike to count here to Caldwell. Every base occupied. Hardhats are already up 1-0 with a chance to really blow it open. Next pitch swung on, balls hit high in the air to left field. That ball has some legs. It has the distance, and it is left the ballpark. It's a grand slam for Jace Caldwell, and the Hardhats have blown the roof off the scoreboard. It's 5-0 with no one out here in the bottom of the first. That's the second grand slam of the year for Jace Caldwell. His first home run at the varsity level this year was also a grand slam, and it's the 4th time in which he has left the ballpark. And the Hardhats have a 5-0 lead. And still no one out. Here comes Zach Sumption. And his first pitch is a called strike on a fastball, 0-1. Sumption on the season comes in batting .306. In the tournament, he's batting .545 as he looks at ball 1. All in a strike the count. And here's the 1-1. Swung on and missed. Oh, that was strike 3. We must have missed one there. So there's a K to Zach Sumption. 1 down, and that'll bring us to Alex Weaver. Sumption, by the way, is the first out of the inning. Hardhats not necessarily guaranteed to bat through the entire lineup, but they potentially could. Weaver fouls off his first pitch. 0-1. No balls and a strike to count to Weaver. And the next pitch is swung on and hit to the left side of the infield, and it squeaks through in the left for a base hit. Alex Weaver gets a 1-out single. Keeps the offense going for the Hardhats, and that'll bring up Todd Stevens. Weaver will now see his .310 batting average rise a bit. Todd Stevens batting .368. He has batted now in 18 games this season for Post 22. Stevens on the tournament batting .200. Only 1 hit, And it was a home run that was hit against Wayne Newton, 346 on Sunday night. He shows bunt, but then he takes one right off the rear end. And Stevens will advance to first on a hit by pitch. That'll bring first and second as we keep getting these flashes of lightning surrounding the ballpark. And it'll bring up Mason Messenger. Yogi Milslegel, our home plate umpire tonight, and Robert Bradford in the field. They have not taken any action yet against this lightning. First pitch to Messenger, too far inside, 1-0. Nelson did not like the call that he received. Messenger on the season batting .303 with the Hardhats. And on the tournament, .333. Next pitch, low and away. 2-0 now to Messenger. Men on first and second with one out here in the bottom of the first. And thanks to a Jace Caldwell grand slam, it's 5-0. Next pitch is high and inside. 3-0 now to Messenger. And the 3-0. And that's too far inside for ball 4, and that'll walk the bases loaded. The Hardhats have not only batted through the lineup, but Connor King gets a second crack in the inning. King walked to start off this frame on a full count. He came around to score as part of the E6 that Cooper Bowman reached on, knocked in a run. First pitch, called strike with a fastball in the outside corner. It's 0-1. Connor King in the tournament batting .250. He's been walked 6 times now, including tonight. Next pitch is low and in the dirt. 1-1. That's what amazes me about Connor. His plate discipline is just amazing to watch. 1-1. Pitch is swung on, ball's hit high in the air, but foul. Left field side, and the count now goes to a ball and 2 strikes against the Hardhat center fielder. 1-2, every base occupied for King. And the pitch from Nelson. Swung on, ball's hit high in the air to left field. Backtracking underneath it is Burner. Burner makes the catch. Tagging up at third is Weaver. He comes in to score. It'll be a sac fly RBI for Connor King, and the Hardhats have added to their lead. It is 6-0 with 2 outs and men on first and second here in the bottom of the first. Matt Heggery now up to bat. He singled, so he is 1 for 1 coming into his second appearance of the inning. First pitch. Called strike on an off-speed pitch inside. 0-1. Looks like it is starting to rain here at the Fitz as well. So the elements had to crash the last day of pool play. Next pitch to Heggery, high and inside. 1-1. And now there's lightning flashing as well, and finally Yogi Milslegel has called it. Yogi Milslegel, the home plate umpire, has told the teams get into the dugout. And Wayne Sullivan, who is our general manager, acting as the public address announcer tonight, has just said we're going to have a quick lightning delay. I hope he's right in that respect. Very early stages of this ball game, the Hardhats have a 6-0 lead. The lightning rod of the inning, if you will, was Jace Caldwell's grand slam that accelerated the Hardhats from a 1-0 lead into a 5-0 lead. And then Connor King moments ago just hit the sac fly RBI that ultimately made it 6-0 post 22. As the inning stands right now, post 22 has 6 runs on 3 hits, and there's an error charged to Rocky Mountain. And both tarps coming out on home plate and on the pitcher's mound. We'll have to confer with our officials upstairs here to see just exactly how long this delay will last. What I'm more interested to see is, will Cade Nelson come back to pitch? Nelson at 33 pitches already in this inning. He's allowed 6 runs, only 5 of them earned on 3 hits. But depending on how long this inning goes, he might not come back to the ballgame. So we'll have to see just exactly how that goes. Folks, we're going to take a step aside right now. I'm going to try and gather as much information as I can on this delay. We'll be right back in 90 seconds here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Post 22 Hard Hats Baseball here on ESPN Rapid City is presented by Courtesy Subaru, by Shields, Qdoba Mexican Eats, Renewal by Anderson, Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews, the Mustang Disaster Cleanup, and the Man Salon. No disasters really to clean up over here. If anything, there will be rain to brush away off the field and off the tarps as well. Post 22 is in the middle of what I've been told will be a brief lightning delay. The Hard Hats currently have a 6-0 lead against the Rocky Mountain Lobos, and I've been told it will only last 10 minutes, maybe 15. So I'm going to send you back to normal ESPN programming, and when we come back, we'll catch you up to speed on everything that you need to know in the ballgame. Stick around, folks. We'll send you to ESPN programming and hopefully be back later with some ESPN baseball. Post 22 Hard Hats against Rocky Mountain. Hardhats fans, we are back and ready to rock on the air with the end of our lightning delay in this final game of the group stage between the Rocky Mountain Lobos and your Post 22 Hardhats. Mark Benetti alongside you here on ESPN Rapid City, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. We resume in Matt Hegre's at-bat here in the bottom half of the first inning. Hardhats have men on first and second and 2 outs in the frame. And Hegre has a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Post 22 has put up 6 runs on 3 hits in this inning, including 1 grand slam from Jace Caldwell, his 4th home run of the season and his 2nd grand slam of the year as well. Hegre steps in. He's 1 for 1 in this ballgame. And his first pitch, or back, I should say, is hit into the gap and all the way to the right field wall. 1 run's going to come in. Messenger's on his horse. He's getting the green light. He's going to round third, and he'll come in to score. A 2-out, 2-run RBI double for Matt Hegre, and the Hardhats lead is now 8-0 with a man on second and 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Cooper Bowman now comes up looking to switch places with Hegre. Post 22 now with 8 runs on 4 hits in this inning. The beneficiary of 3 walks, a hit by pitch, and a fielding error by the Lobos. 2 outs and the first pitch to Bowman. Inside, called strike. 0-1. Bowman reached on that error. It knocked in a run. He came in to score as part of Jace Caldwell's grand slam. 0-1 pitch is low and inside. And the count evens at a ball and a strike now for Bowman. Bowman has Hegre across from him on the diamond on second. Nelson still back out there, and his 1-1 swung on. Ball's hit to short. Laux can't get it on the run. He booted it. And he gets it in shallow center field and throws it in. Another E6. So unfortunately, Cooper Bowman is 0 for 2 in this ballgame. With 2 E6s, it advances Hegre over to third. It'll be men on the corners now for Jack Sorensen. Sorensen walked, came around to score as part of the grand slam in this inning. Check to first, and Bowman's back. And here's the first pitch. Called strike to Sorensen, a fastball outside corner. And it's 0-1. For those just joining us, we just resumed not even moments ago from a lightning delay. Post 22 up 8-0 now over Rocky Mountain, as the 0-1 to Sorensen is low for ball 1. A low breaking pitch. Nelson was working on his breaking pitch as part of a lot of his warm-ups prior to the start of the ball game, so it's no surprise he's gone to the breaking pitch as much as he has. 1-1 is chopped to third. Stop is made on the play by Fisher, and his throw to first is in time. That will end the frame. But the Hardhats have dealt some major damage here in the first inning of play. 8 runs on 4 hits, 2 errors charged to Rocky Mountain. 2 men left on the base path, 190 feet from giving the Hardhats a 9th run in the ballgame. As it stands, through 1 inning of play, Post 22 has a commanding 8-0 lead over Rocky Mountain. Zach Weitzel comes back on the mound. He will take on 5, 6, and 7 in the Lobos order when we come back here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Post 22 Hardhats baseball here on ESPN Rapid City is presented by Courtesy Subaru, by Shields, Qdoba Mexican Eats, Renewal by Anderson, Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews, the Mustang Disaster Cleanup, and the Man Salon. The saying in South Dakota is if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. And we waited 15, and the lightning, fire, and brimstone that we had prior to our delay has now turned into a couple of cloudy skies and a beaming ray of sun. And at one point, there was an unreal rainbow in the background for a second time in this tournament. It looks pretty cool for a bit. But we have come back from the delay. Post 22 has added 2 more runs to their tally. Here in the top of the second, it is now 8-0 with Rocky Mountain coming to bat. Garrett Fisher, the third baseman. Jaron Pifo, the catcher. Aaron Laux, the shortstop. Slated to hit in that order for the Lobos. Mark Benetti alongside you here on ESPN Rapid City, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. As Post 22 plays in its final game of the group stage of the 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World, the 43rd running of this spectacle of talent around the 4th of July holiday. Fisher steps in against Weitzel, a right-handed batter, against the right-handed pitcher. And his first pitch is swung on. It's chopped to third. Heggery on the high hop settles, and his throw to first is in time. Nearly pulled Sorensen off the bag. But Sorensen was able to keep a foot tethered while he made the catch. That'll be a 5-3 in the book for those scoring with us at home. 1 up, 1 down. Now brings us to Jaron Pifo, the catcher. Pifo also a right-handed batter. He is quite a large right-handed batter. Very tall. Well built. Zach Weitzel, the righty, full windup, and here's his first pitch. And that's a pitch low and inside, 1-0 to Pifo. Pifo has an empty base path and 1 out here in the top of the second. His Lobos down 8-0 right now to the Hardhats. Next pitch, a called strike. Right at the belt of Pifo. 1-1. Yogi Milslegel calling the balls and strikes behind home plate. Robert Bradford's in the field. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Just missed upstairs. 2-1. Two balls and a strike to count to Pifo. And the pitch. Called strike. Fastball on the outside corner at the knees of Pifo, and it's 2-2. Weitzel already has a strikeout in this start. He's looking for number 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Full windup for the righty, and he deals. Just low, and the count goes full. 3-2. Payoff pitch coming. First one for Weitzel in the start. And here is the 3-2 pitch. Swung on, ball's ripped to third. Nice stop by Heggery on the ground. Throw to first in time. Out number 2. It's the Matt Heggery show in this inning right now. 2 5-3 putouts. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Aaron Laux. Laux also a right-handed batter, which means that through the first 7 in the order, Weitzel's only faced 1 lefty, and that is his pitching counterpart, Cade Nelson. Here is the first pitch. Laux rips it foul, third baseline. 0-1. Laux had 2 errors in the bottom half of the first inning. It led to only 1 run coming across. Out of the 8, the Hardhats scored. 0-1 pitch, breaking ball just missed outside, and the count evens at a ball and a strike. 1-1 now to Laux. Weitzel's full windup, 1-1 pitch. Check swing, did he go? And they're not saying he did, 2 balls and a strike. Two-one pitch. Swung on. That ball's lined into shallow left. It'll drop in front of Alex Weaver for a base hit. So it'll be a 2-out single for Laux. And now Will Vasseur comes up. After the 2-out single to Laux. Man on first, 2 down. Vasseur is also a right-handed batter. And first pitch misses low. Stevens gets the block, and the throw to first is just low. Sorensen couldn't scoop it. They almost caught Laux off of first. And he slipped trying to get back to the bag. So that made the play even more intense. But he is safe, no harm done. 1-0 the count to Vasseur. Next pitch is chopped foul on a late swing, 1-1. Ball and a strike to Will Vasseur. He's the second baseman. No balls and a strike to count. And the pitch. Swung on, and it's ripped foul again. 1-2. Zach Weitzel looking for his second strikeout. It would end the inning. 1-2 pitch. Missed low and away, and it's 2-2 now to Vassar. Vassar, 2 balls and 2 strikes with a man on first. 2 outs in the top of the second. 8-0 the Hardhats lead. And the 2-2. Swung on, ball's lined high in the air to right center field, and it drops for a base hit. Assumption comes back to field it and gets his throw into Bowman. So it's back-to-back 2-out singles for the Lobos. That puts Laux in scoring position on second, Vassar on first, and it brings up Noah Berner, the left fielder. Also a right-handed batter, so only one lefty in the lineup for Weitzel to face. That's at the 3-hole. First pitch, bunt is dropped. Weitzel comes to field it on the mound, throw to first in time, and that'll end it. Very interesting call to bunt with 2 outs, and it was not executed the way that the Lobos would have wanted it. No runs, 2 hits, no errors charged to the Hardhats. 2 men left on the base path, 1 in scoring position. We played an inning and a half of baseball, and Post 22 is set to try and expand upon their commanding 8-0 lead as they come back to the offensive side of the game. Jace Caldwell, Zach Sumption, and Alex Weaver scheduled to hit for Post 22 when we come back here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. We have a scoring change as we come into the bottom half of the second. They're going to credit Cooper Bowman with an infield hit. And Caldwell's first pitch of the inning ripped foul. Very quick start to this one. So Cooper Bowman will be credited with an infield single in the bottom half of the first. He's 1 for 2. Caldwell 0-1, looks at a second called strike. No balls and 2 strikes to count. Cade Nelson back on the mound. 0-2 is just fouled. And the count will hold at no balls and 2 strikes for Jace Caldwell. Caldwell 1 for 1 with that massive grand slam in the bottom of the first. 0-2 pitch misses. No, caught him looking. Strike 3. And there's a backwards K, the second strikeout for Nelson in the start. 1 up, 1 down for the Hardhats here in the bottom of the second. Now brings us to Zach Sumption, who was the first strikeout of Cade Nelson's. First pitch, low and away, 1-0 to Sumption. And the next pitch is swung on and ripped foul down the third base line on a chop. Count evens up at a ball and a strike now for Zach Sumption. Nelson's approaching 50 pitches, and we're in the bottom of the second with just 1 out registered. Final game of group play here in the 2018 Firecracker. Next pitch low and away. 2-1. And the next pitch swung on, ball's hit high in the air, shallow right field. And underneath it to make the catch is Jeff Hoggett, and that'll be out number 2. Alex Weaver now comes up. He's 1 for 1 with the single. And first pitch, swung on, fouled to the meshing behind home plate. 0-1. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. The Hardhats established a commanding 8-0 lead in the bottom of the first. 0-1 pitch, swung on, ball's hit high in the air to right field. Hoggett again towards the foul line makes the catch, and that'll do it. Well, after notching 8 runs on 4 hits in the first inning, Post 22 goes down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the second, which, as we all know, means no runs, hits, errors, or anybody left on base. We played 2 innings of baseball. The Post 22 still has a commanding 8-0 lead to protect as we now transition to the top half of the 3rd inning. We'll be right back in just a few moments, folks, with the top of the order due up for the Lobos here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Fans, don't forget about next Monday night. It's our annual Dining on the Diamond event. It's a free pasta dinner here at the Fitz. You can have your favorite Post 22 players serve you your meal. They're going to be dressed up in a bow tie and cummerbunds. And what a better way to celebrate the season and to celebrate their talent by having them provide you with free pasta. 5 to 7 next Monday on July 9th. It should be, as we say in the business, a fun time had by all. Zach Weitzel's back on the mound for Post 22. He's been pretty efficient, 31 pitches through 2 innings so far. Top of the 3rd, Post 22 has an 8-0 lead against the Rocky Mountain Lobos, the final game of group play here in the 2018 Firecracker presented by Camping World. Numbers across the board through 2 innings of play for the Hardhats, clearly in the driver's seat. It's 8 runs, 5 hits, no errors in the field. And for Rocky Mountain, it's no runs on 4 hits with 1 blemish in the field. Mark Benetti alongside you here on ESPN Rapid City, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. Jeff Hoggett back at the top of the order starts off, followed by Sam Cathcart and Cade Nelson. In that order. First pitch from Weitzel. Called strike. Right at his knees. Well-placed fastball, 0-1. Hoggett singled in the first at-bat of the entire ball game, but he was caught stealing. 0-1 pitch is swung on. Ball is hit to second. Nice diving stop by Messenger. Throw to first in time for out number 1. Four 3 in the book. 1 up, 1 down for the Hardhats on defense. Brings us to Sam Cathcart, the center fielder. Cathcart is 0 for 1 with the only strikeout Weitzel has provided in this ballgame. And his first pitch is a called strike, 0-1. No balls and a strike to count, and the next pitch misses wide and rolls to the backstop. 1-1. Now to Sam Cathcart, the center fielder. Post 22 up 8-0 with 1 out and an empty base path here in the top of the 3rd. 1-1 pitch swung on and missed. And Cathcart is now behind 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes the count. Weitzel looking for that second K. Here's his 1-2 pitch. Caught him looking, strike 3. And there's K number 2 for Weitzel, both of them against the same adversary. That's going to bring up the left-handed hitting, right-handed throwing pitcher, Cade Nelson, who is 1 for 1 with a single. The second of what are currently 4 Lobos hits. 2 outs, empty base path, and the first pitch is high and away. 1-0 to Nelson. And here is the 1-0 pitch. And that missed low and inside. 2-0 now from Weitzel to Nelson. Weitzel's next pitch will be number 40 here in the 3rd inning. He's on a great pace so far. Here comes the 2-0. Pitch is swung on and fouled. Third base side out of play, 2-1. 2 balls and a strike. As Weitzel looks to close out this inning in 1-2-3 fashion. 2 outs, nobody on. And the 2-1 just missed low. 3 balls and a strike to count to Nelson here. Nelson steps back in, the lefty against the righty. And the 3-1 pitch. Swung on and it's chopped foul in front of his team's dugout, first base side. Count goes full. Big payoff pitch here for Weitzel. He wants to end this 1-2-3 fashion. It would get him out of the inning in 12 pitches. Here is the payoff pitch. Check swing. Did he go? They're not saying he did. And it's ball 4. But it's no, it's not a drop third strike either. They're saying he didn't go. At least that was Yogi Milslagel's signal behind home plate, but Todd Stevens threw it to first anyway. So it'll be a 2-out walk issued to Nelson. And that'll bring up Ben Knauer, the first baseman. Knauer 0 for 1. He lined out to left to end the inning last time he was up. First pitch swung on, ball's hit high in the air to left field. It has some legs, it has some distance, it's in foul territory, and Weaver can't make the catch off the wall. I can't believe he had a play on that. Weaver caught right up to it, jumped up as high as he could, slammed into the wall, and just couldn't snag it. What a great effort by Alex Weaver. Unfortunately, only results in strike 1. But my goodness. If he caught that, we would have to call up a certain station in Bristol, Connecticut. I think its call sign is 4 letters to it. 0-1 pitch. Swung on, balls hit to the opposite field, now high right field. Zach Sumption underneath it in front of the warning track makes the catch, and that will end the top half of the third. No runs, no hits, no errors, a man left on first base for Rocky Mountain, and at the end of 2.5 innings of play, the Hardhats now look to expand upon their already devastating 8-0 lead over the Lobos here in their last game of pool play, the 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World. We'll take a step aside and come right back with the bottom of the third inning. Todd Stevens, Mason Messenger, back to the top to Connor King. Slated to hit here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Back to offense come the Hardhats now in the bottom half of the third inning, leading 8-0 against Rocky Mountain in their final game of the group stage here in the 2018 Firecracker, presented by Camping World. Earlier action in the tournament today saw Premier West get their second win of the group stage in their final matchup, a 4-1 win over the Missoula Mavericks. And then Wayne Newton Post 346 out of Terre Haute, Indiana, took an 11-6 win over Merced, California. The standings as of right now, granted this game hasn't finished yet. The Hardhats are at the top of the standings at 4-0. Wayne Newton 346 is at 4-1. Rocky Mountain's at 500, 2-2. And Premier West is at 2-3. Missoula and Merced are at 1-4. Todd Stevens steps in to lead off the bottom half of the third, and his first pitch, still from Cade Nelson, is low and away, 1-0. Stevens was hit by a pitch. His first at bat, and he looks at ball 2 low in the dirt. 2 balls, no strikes. Stevens, Messenger, back to the top to King, slated to hit here in the inning. 2-0 pitch, swung on, ball is pushed into left field for a base hit. Right by a diving third baseman, Fisher. And Stevens gets his first hit of the ball game. It's a single to lead off the bottom of the third. And that'll bring up Mason Messenger, who walked the last time he was up. Messenger on the tournament batting .333 coming into this matchup, and he looks at a first pitch strike on a fastball. 0-1 to Messenger. Stevens takes his lead, check to first, and he's back. No balls and a strike to Messenger, and here's the 0-1. Pitch is swung on, ball's hit high in the air to left field. Underneath it is Burner. And Burner makes the catch for out number 1 here in the bottom half of the third inning. Stevens stays put at first. That'll bring us back to the top of the order to Connor King, who still doesn't have a registered at-bat. He has 2 plate appearances, a walk, and a sac fly RBI. So King's looking for his first hit, really his first at-bat as well. Just 2 plate appearances. First pitch, runner goes, and it's chopped foul. King just threw his hands at it. It was a hit-and-run play. 0-1 to King. Now they will be looking for Stevens to potentially go again. No balls and a strike, the count to King. Stevens leads off at first. And Nelson's pitch, runner stays put, misses just low and away. 1-1. The only lefty-righty matchup the Hardhats will have against the righty Cade Nelson is the left-handed hitting Connor King. From the stretch, here's the 1-1. Pitch is turned on, but foul. Chopped by the Lobos dugout. 1-2 now to King. He's had a 2-strike count every time he's been up in this ballgame. Hasn't worked against him yet. Check to first, and Stevens is back. Again, King technically 0 for 0 with a walk, a run scored, and a sac fly RBI. Here's the 1-2. Just missed low and away. And the count evens at 2-2. And 2-2 pitch. Outside. 3-2. Count goes full. Matt Heggery's on deck. 2 for 2 with a single and a double in that order. Check to first is not there in time. Stevens back safely, now takes his lead. Payoff pitch to King, runner goes, and it's called strike 3, and the throw to second's not in time. It was almost a strike him out, throw him out. But Stevens beat the throw. That'll be the second out as he steals second. Man in scoring position now brings us to Matt Heggery. Heggery 2 for 2. Single, RBI, 2-run RBI double, and a run scored. And first pitch. Swung on and missed. 0-1. Heggery is a triple and a home run away from the cycle. We've had a lot of Hardhats come very close to the cycle these last couple of games. Nelson feigns emotion, so we'll all step back as he steps off the rubber, and now quickly back to it. 0-1 pitch. Too far inside to Heggery, and it's 1-1. Ball and a strike to count here to Heggery. Todd Stevens trying to play mind games with Nelson on second. 1-1, breaks too far inside, 2-1. Tom Rudabush, my former broadcast partner of the Hardhats, loved to call out that runner on second is so inconsequential, but always gets in the head of the pitcher. It's so funny to see it, still to this day. 2-1. Breaks too far inside again, 3 balls and a strike. He used to comment on it with me when we were calling games last season, and he'd tell me every single time, if I had $1 for every time he said it, Mark, why are they worried about the runner on second? 3-1 pitch, too far inside, it's ball 4. It looks like the mind game worked because after starting off with the first pitch strike, it was 4 straight balls after that. Men on first and second after the 2-out walk, that'll bring us to Cooper Bowman. Bowman was rescored to 1 for 2 with a single, a reach on an error, a stolen base, and a run scored. First pitch swung on and ball is chopped to third by the glove and the shortstop as well. Rounding third, heading home is Stevens. And the Hardhats now have a 9-0 lead. It was by the glove of Fisher, the third baseman. And then the shortstop, Laux, couldn't catch up to it, but it looked like Fisher should have had that ball. And the Hardhats, on their second hit of the inning, now have a 9-0 lead. They're going to rule that an RBI single. Hegre to second, Stevens in. Brings up Jack Sorensen with men on first and second. First pitch. Missed inside. 1-0. Everybody kind of held their breath on that pitch. That one looked pretty close. And now it looks like we're going to have a conference on the mound here. Whether or not this is going to be a change or not is yet to be seen. Wayne Sullivan, our general manager, is acting as our public address announcer tonight and just mentioned that there are 2,143 people here at this game. Absolutely incredible. And here's hoping that there are even more here tomorrow at 5 o'clock when the Hardhats rematch Wayne Newton post 346 from Terre Haute, Indiana for the Firecracker Championship. For those that are unaware, simply didn't follow the tournament up to this point, that game on Sunday night, probably the most memorable one. The Hardhats did not play like they deserved to win at all. You look at that box score, 9 walks, 7 hit batsmen, 3 errors. They were down 8-2 in the third inning. Pitching had 0 control. It was just a dumpster fire in most cases, but resilience paid off, and the Hardhats were able to come back. Next pitch to Sorensen's low and away, 2-0 now. Men on first and second for Sorensen and 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Hardhats have added another. It's now 9-0. 2-0 pitch, swung on, ball's chopped to third. Fisher, the stop on the high hop, and his throw to first is low, and it skips away from the first baseman. Sorensen's going to head to second. Here comes Hegre to score, and Bowman will slam the brakes at third. An E5 that allows Sorensen to take 2 bases, knocks in a run. Now it's 10-0. The Hardhats have the lead on the second error of the night. Charge to the Lobos. Fisher just rushed the throw, just tried to fling it, and it went against him, and now another mound visit, and it looks like Cade Nelson's start has come to an end at exactly 70 pitches. Well, Nelson comes off the field to applause. Nelson struck out 3 in his start. He walked 4. He hit 1. He allowed 10 runs on the game. And of the 10 runs, only 1 was unearned. So 9 earned runs for him on 7 hits, and he ended up going 2 2/3 for the Lobos. Couple of defensive substitutions. Nelson looks like he's going to stay in the ball game, and they will have an outfield substitution. So we're going to take a step aside. We'll recap everything you need to know about the new personnel on the field, including on the mound, when we return. Bottom of the third, 2 outs and 2 men in scoring position for the dynamite, red-hot Jace Caldwell. We'll be right back here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV with the Hardhats up 10-0. Brian Bruxfort, the righty's now on the mound, and the first pitch he throws to Caldwell is a swing and a miss. 0-1 the count. Cade Nelson has stayed in the game. He is now going to play at third with Bruxfort, the righty, on the mound. Next pitch to Caldwell, a called strike on a breaking ball inside. 0-2. Bruxfort, a tall, right-handed pitcher, came out of the bullpen. There was also an outfield substitution, and the infield shifted. The 0-2 is high and inside, and that'll be a ball and 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes the count, and Bruxfort deals to Caldwell, and that's low. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes the count, and the pitch to Caldwell misses low, and the count goes full. Caldwell's 1 for 2 on the game with a grand slam and a backwards K in the book. Payoff pitch can either end the inning or perpetuate it an extra batter. And the payoff swung on, ball is chopped to the left side of the infield. At short, stops made by Laux, throw to first is in time, and that is going to end it. A nice play at short ends the bottom half of the third. Well, the Hardhats played a run on 2 hits with an error charged to, they played 2 runs on 2 hits with an error charged to the Lobos and 2 men left on the base path in scoring position. We've played 3 innings of baseball, and Post 22 still has what is now a 10-0 lead. We'll take a step aside and come right back with the 4th inning. 5, 6, and 7 slated to hit in the order for the Lobos here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Zach Weitzel back on the mound here in the top of the 4th for Post 22. 45 pitches for him through 3 innings. He has looked fantastic. He has struck out 2, and he has only issued 1 walk. Garrett Fisher now comes up. And Fisher's first pitch misses low and away, 1-0. Barring any substitutions, it should be Fisher, Pifo, and Laux slated to hit. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That misses low and away from Weitzel. It's 2-0. Weitzel showcased a lot of control. He showcased consistency, which is what I was talking about in the pregame show. Nothing has rattled him yet. 2-0 pitch. And that missed low and away. 3-0 now to Fisher. Garrett Fisher 0 for 1 with a ground out to third. And here comes the 3-0. Called strike right at the belt. And it's 3-1. Three balls and a strike to count now to Fisher. Weitzel trying to come back in the count. 3-1 is fouled off. And it goes out of the concourse, and a flock of children go to try and field it. There's money on these foul balls, so they're playing for keeps. Count goes full now to Fisher. Payoff pitch to start the inning, and Weitzel's 3-2 pitch misses low and away for ball 4. So that's a leadoff walk to Fisher, and that'll now bring up Jaron Pifo, the catcher of the Lobos. Pifo also 0 for 1 with a ground out to third. Weitzel from the stretch now. Throws his first pitch, and it's fouled to the backstop. 0-1. Post 22 has a 10-0 lead through 3+ innings now. 10 runs, 7 hits, no errors in the field. Rocky Mountain, no runs on 4 hits and a pair of errors. 0-1 pitch. High and away. Ball and a strike now from Weitzel to Pifo. Second matchup between these two adversaries. And the 1-1. Swung on and fouled to the meshing behind home plate again. 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes to count. And the 1-2. Swung on and fouled off the paraphernalia of Stevens. And the count will hold at a ball and 2 strikes. Man on first with no one out here in the top of the 4th. Rocky Mountain on the offensive. Trailing 10-0 to the Hardhats. 1-2 will come again from Weitzel, and he deals. Swung on, ball's hit right up the middle. Bowman gets the stop, touches second for 1, throw to first for 2 in time. 6 unassisted, 3 double play, and quickly the Hardhats have 2 outs. And that'll bring up Aaron Laux, the shortstop. Laux is 1 for 1. He singled in the top half of the 2nd inning. That was the 3rd of 4 hits that the Lobos have racked up in this game. First pitch. Swung on, ball's lined over the head of Bowman, and it drops into left center for a base hit. Cooper Bowman put on the hops, but he just couldn't snag it. So it's a 2-out single for Laux. He's batting 1,000 tonight, and that'll bring us to Will Vassar. Vassar also 1 for 1. Prior to Laux' most recent single, he was the last hit the Lobos had. That was back in the 2nd. First pitch, called strike by Yogi Milslagle behind home plate. 0-1. Here is the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball, flared high in the air, shallow right field. Sumption's on his horse, as is Messenger from second, and they can't get it. Messenger fields it, though, and gets it into Bowman. Taking 2 bases was Laux. And Vassar gets another 2-out single. It's men on the corners, and that'll bring up Noah Berner, the left fielder. Or the gentleman that's in his spot, and that right now is Brian Bruxvoort. Bruxvoort, the pitcher, is up, and his first pitch is low and away, ball 1. Bruxvoort takes over for Noah Berner, who went 0 for 1. Tried to drop a bunt with 2 outs and men on first and second, and he dropped it right to the mound, and Weitzel had him out by about 2 miles. Here's the 1-0. Misses low. Stevens a block, and everybody stays to their respective base. 2-0 the count now to Bruxvoort. Bruxvoort, a tall right-handed batter, just as he is a tall right-handed pitcher. 2-0. Swung on, and it's fouled. 2-1. Top of the order is on deck. Jeff Hoggett, who is 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out to second. 2-1 pitch. Swung on, ball's hit high in the air. Foul territory, first base side, and it goes out of play into the concourse. 2-2 now the count to Bruxvoort. He has men 90 feet to his left and right. Vassar on first, Laux on third. If Weitzel can get his 3rd strikeout, it would put an end to the top half of the 4th. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Weitzel from the stretch, pumps his 2-2. Swung on, ball's pushed to the opposite side. Messenger the stop on the run. Throw to first in time. And that will end the top half of the 4th inning. No runs, 2 hits, no errors charged to the Hardhats. 2 men left on the base path. The Lobos' first run, 90 feet from home. We played 3.5 innings of baseball here on the final day of pool play. The 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World, and Post 22 still maintains its 10-0 lead. We'll be right back in just a few moments with the Hardhats. Back to the sticks. Sumption, Weaver, and Stevens duo, barring any substitutions. We'll be right back after God Bless America here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Fans, don't forget about our Dining on the Diamond event taking place next Monday, July 9th, from 5 to 7 p.m. right here at Floyd Fitzgerald Stadium. How many times do I have to say this? That is a free pasta dinner that you can't say no to if you are a season ticket holder or a corporate sponsor, and your favorite Post 22 player gets to serve you your meal. I know where I'm going to be next Monday, 5 to 7, for at least a little bit. I might have one of the seniors serve me my dinner because I've been with them for the last 4 years now. So, fun times had by all. No doubt about that. They're going to wear bow ties and cummerbunds. I don't know if you can tip them for their hard work, though. I think that might be construed as an impermissible benefit. So, we'll have to get that straightened out for everybody prior to Monday night. Zach Sumption, Alex Weaver, Todd Stevens slated to hit here in the bottom half of the fourth. Hardhats up 10-0 over the Rocky Mountain Lobos. First pitch swung on, lined into left field. That's going to drop for a base hit. And Zach Sumption is now 1 for 3 on the ball game with his first hit to lead off the bottom of the fourth. That's going to bring up Alex Weaver, who is 1 for 2. He also singled. That was back in the first inning. Post 22 put up an 8 spot in the first frame. They haven't looked back since. You can thank Jace Caldwell's second grand slam of the year for that. First pitch, a called strike to Weaver, a fastball at his knees. 0-1. Brian Bruxvort still back out in relief for Cade Nelson, who has since moved over to the third base position. No balls and a strike to count to Weaver. Check to first and Sumption's back. And the count will hold at no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count to Weaver. Hardhats up 10-0. Next pitch is a half swing and a miss. 0-2. That's one Weaver will want to have back. Either commit to the swing, try and get a check swing, or don't even swing at all. You've got to be more decisive. And the 0-2 swung on, ball's hit high in the air to right field, and underneath it to make the catch is Hoggett. And that is out number 1, with Sumption still standing on first. That brings us to Todd Stevens, the catcher, who is 1 for 1. He was hit by a pitch in his first plate appearance. Then he singled, stole a base, and he was one of the 2 runs scored last in the bottom of the third. First pitch. Swung on, the ball is weakly hit to second. Catch is made on the play by Vassar. And that will be out number 2. That was a line drive. 2 down quickly for the Hardhats. Do Assumption on first. That's going to bring us to Mason Messenger. The Hardhats, by the way, if they can manage to score 5 runs before the end of the next inning, the game will once again come to a premature halt. First pitch, called strike to Messenger. That is fastball at his knees. 0-1. Messenger with Assumption on first and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball outside. 1-1. Ball and a strike to count to Messenger. Brooks for it, looks to Assumption at first and the 1-1. Breaking ball called strike right at his belt. And it's 1-2 now to the Hardhat second baseman. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count to Messenger, and the pitch. Breaking balls high and inside. 2-2. Two balls and 2 strikes the count. Assumption leads off of first. 2-2 to Messenger is fought off, foul. Nice protection there from Messenger as the ball goes over Catch 22. Shameless plug for Post 22 merchandise. You can get it all at Catch 22 at all Post 22 home games here at the Fitz. 2-2 again to Messenger. Swung on. It jammed him inside. It's hit high in the air to third. Nelson's underneath it. He makes the catch, and that will put an end to the bottom half of the 4th. No runs on a hit with no errors charged to the Lobos and a man left on base for the Hardhats. Zach Assumption standing on first after the leadoff single. We have played 4 innings of baseball, and the Hardhats are still in the driver's seat. A 10-0 lead over the Rocky Mountain Lobos. We will take a step aside and come right back with the top of the 5th and the top of the order slated to hit for Rocky Mountain here on ESPN Rapid City and on Hardhats-TV. For all the Rapid City Rush fans tuning into tonight's broadcast, 2 days ago, or actually, no, yesterday, I've got my days mixed up because tomorrow we've got the day off, so for some reason I think it's the weekend already. Yesterday we announced that Shaquille Marasti was returning to the lineup, a big burly center from Thompson, Manitoba. He had 7 points in 8 games with the Rush and went +5 before an injury ended his season. Shaq is very pleased to be back and taking advantage of this opportunity that Coach Tatro and Coach Ferrara have given him to represent our community. I'll tell you, folks, if Shaq comes back in shape to training camp, he will be a force to be reckoned with up the middle of the season. First pitch is swung on, hit high in the air by Hoggett to left. Weaver's on the run towards the wall, and it goes off the wall and over Weaver's head. Weaver fields it, and he gets it into Cooper Bowman, and that'll be a leadoff double for Hoggett here in the top half of the 5th. Man in scoring position with no one out, and that's going to bring us to Sam Cathcart, the center fielder. Cathcart 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts against Weitzel, so Weitzel's going for the hat trick against Cathcart. He shows bunt, tries to drop it, and it's fouled. 0-1. Hegre comes in from third to try and field the bunt. Time is called. And I don't know necessarily why time is called. There is a stray ball. And the tiny bat boy for the Hardhats comes out and helps him out. No balls and a strike the count here to Cathcart. He showed bunt last pitch. See if he does it again. Weitzel looks in and then quickly looks over to Hoggett at second. And the 0-1. Called strike, a fastball at the knees of Cathcart. He did not show anything there. 0-2. So unless he's feeling really lucky, he will not square up to bunt on this next pitch. If it fouls, he's out if he bunts. 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball up at his letters, 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes the count here to Cathcart. Weitzel looks to second. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, ball's hit high in the air. First base side, foul territory, and neither Sorensen or Stevens can get to it quick enough. Second life here for Cathcart, and it remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. The next pitch, by the way, for Weitzel will be number 70 on the start here. We're in the 5th inning, so he's got a pretty good average going for himself. He averaged 16 pitches an inning coming into the frame. Ball and 2 strikes. And Weitzel deals. Just missed. Breaking ball outside, it's 2-2. Awfully close. Two balls, 2 strikes. Weitzel's 2-2 pitch. Swung on, ball's hit high in the air. Shallow right center field. King's on the run from center. Ball drops. It's a base hit. And King will hang on to it and chuck it into Cooper Bowman. Cathcart gets his first hit of the ball game and advances Hoggett to third. Men on the corners with no one out. And that's going to bring up Cade Nelson, the starting pitcher turned third baseman. No one out. And men 90 feet to his left or right. Nelson's 1 for 1 with a single and a walk. First pitch. Outside, ball 1. Fastball missed the corner. 1-0. Ball and 0 strikes the count as Weitzel sets from the stretch. 1-0 pitch is fouled to the backstop. And the count evens up at a ball and a strike. 1-1 from Weitzel to Nelson. Here in the top of the 5th with the Hardhats up 10-0. Men on the corners and no one out. 1-1's upstairs. On a fastball, it's 2-1. The next pitch from Weitzel will be 75 in the start. Again, we're in the top of the 5th. 2 balls and a strike. Weitzel's 2-1. Outside, 3-1. 3 balls and a strike to count. If the next pitch is ball 4, it'll be bases loaded for the cleanup man, Ben Knauer. And the 3-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. 3-2. Weitzel looking for his 3rd K of the start. He has only issued 2 walks. He's also struck out 2. Check to first, not there in time, and back safely is Cathcart. Cathcart's on first, Hoggett's on third. Hoggett doubled to get on the base path. Cathcart hit a bleeder of a bloop single into shallow right center. Payoff pitch to Nelson is up high, ball 4. And that's the 3rd walk issued by Weitzel, and it loads the bases. Bases loaded, no one out. It's going to bring up the cleanup man, Ben Knauer. And this prompts a visit from the pitching coordinator, Ryan Clapperidge. Tomorrow's matchups are set, folks. But the games have been rescheduled to a certain extent. They were supposed to be 11-2-5. They have been changed to 9-11-5. The 9 a.m. game will feature the Missoula Mavericks against the Merced Volunteers. The 11 a.m. game will be a Rocky Mountain rematch between the Rocky Mountain Lobos and the Premier West Cardinals. And then the championship will be a rematch of the Sunday night near catastrophic game between The Hardhats and Wayne Newton post 346 out of Terre Haute. Conference is over. Back to baseball we go. Ben Knauer, 0 for 2, and he fouls off his first pitch. 0-1. No balls in a strike, the count to Knauer. And here comes the 0-1, and that's a called strike. And just like that, no balls and 2 strikes to count. 0-2 to Knauer. Weitzel looking for a colossal out at the plate. And here's the 0-2. That misses low. Stevens gets the block, and everybody stays put. Ball and 2 strikes to Knauer, who has every base occupied. Nelson on first, Cathcart on second, Hoggett on third. No one out here in the top of the 5th, and the Hardhats up 10-0. 1-2 pitch. Swung on. Ball's hit high in the air to deep center field. Connor King's on the run towards the warning track, makes the catch, and gets the throw into Bowman. Coming in to score is Hoggett, and advancing to third is Cathcart. That's a sac fly RBI, well hit by Knauer. And the Hardhats lead has now been cut to 10-1 with men on the corners and 1 out here in the top half of the 5th. So the Lobos are on the board. And with men on the corners, it'll bring up Garrett Fisher. Fisher moved into the outfield so that Nelson could take over at third, following his substitution on the mound. First pitch to Fisher, a called strike at his knees. 0-1 to Fisher, who's 0 for 1 with a ground out to third and a walk. Men 90 feet to his left and right. 1 out now here in the top of the 5th. Hardhats have already turned 1 double play. They make it 2, they'll get out of this one. 0-1 pitch, flared high in the air to right field. Sumption's on the run towards the foul line, and he makes the catch, and he's going to try and get the throw into home. Coming in is Cathcart, and he will score. Another sac fly RBI for the Lobos, this one credited to Garrett Fisher, and the Hardhats lead has now been cut to 10-2 with a man on first and 2 outs here in the top half of the 5th. Staying on first was Nelson. That brings up Jaron Pifo, the catcher. Pifo 0 for 2 with a ground out to third, and he also hit into a 6 unassisted 3 double play. And he swings and misses at his first pitch. A changeup from Weitzel. It's 0-1. Weitzel's next pitch will be number 85. He's been pitching well, so I would imagine maybe he gets 1 more inning in this. Here's the 0-1. That misses outside. Ball and a strike. Ball and a strike to count. Weitzel really is the last pitcher to see action in this tournament, so I don't know who else they would go to unless maybe they pull Sorensen from first. 1-1 pitch. Swung on, ball's chopped foul just over the Hardhats dugout. Ball and 2 strikes. I think Jack Sorensen is the last pitcher that could be utilized as far as relievers go, and I'm sure somebody else could spot in here and there if they needed to. Heck, Todd Stevens came in last night through 60 pitches. The 1-2 pitch is hit by a diving Hegre on a hop in a left field for a base hit. 2-out single to Jaron Pifo. Advances Nelson to second. First and second, and Aaron Laux, the shortstop, now comes up. Laux is 2 for 2. Batting 1,000 with a pair of singles. Weitzel already has a mound visit in this inning, so if there is 1 more, that would be it. Weitzel from the stretch. First pitch to Laux. Swung on, ball's lined high in the air to left field. Weaver's on the run and sliding. He makes the catch. What a play by Alex Weaver. And that ends the top half of the 5th. 2 runs were scored by the Lobos. on 3 hits. There were no errors charged to the Hardhats, and there were 2 men left on the base path for the Lobos. We have played exactly half the ball game, 4.5 out of 9 innings of regulation, and the Hardhats' lead has now been cut to 10-2. We'll take a step aside and come right back with the second half and the top of the Hardhats order slated to hit here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Looks like we have another pitching change. We're trying to catch a license plate. It looks to me that is Jeb Holmes on the mound, who will come in for Bruxfort on the mound. Don't see any other substitutions. The infield has stayed the same. I don't see anything new in the outfield. But it looks to me like Jeb Holmes is the gentleman that is on the mound right now for the Lobos. He takes over for Bruxfort, who went 1 1/3 innings. And Jeb Holmes is the one that's on the mound. Jeb Holmes, a tall righty, took over for Bruxfort, who went 1 1/3 innings. He allowed no runs on a hit. And didn't strike anybody out or walk anyone. And he did it all on just 17 pitches. Top of the order to come out and face Holmes, that's Connor King, and he looks at a first pitch strike at his knees outside corner. 0-1 to King, who is 0 for 1. His next pitch swung on, ball's hit high in the air to short. Laux backtracking into shallow left. He's underneath it, and he makes the catch for out number 1. So King will now go to 0 for 2 with a backwards K, a walk, a run scored, and a sac fly RBI under his belt. That brings up Matt Hegre with an empty base path and 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Hardhats now have a 10-2 lead over the Lobos. And Holmes' first pitch. Called strike at the knees of Hegre. It's 0-1. Hegre's 2 for 2. Single, a run scored, 2-run RBI double, a walk and a run scored. He looks at ball 1 low and away. 1-1. One pitch is high and inside. That'll be 2 balls and a strike now to Hegre. And Holmes deals. 2-1 is swung on and missed. 2-2. Two balls and 2 strikes to Hegre, and Holmes deals the 2-2 low and in the dirt. And the count goes full. 3-2 now to the hard hat third baseman, with Cooper Bowman patiently waiting in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch for Holmes, and he deals. High and inside, ball 4. So that'll be a 1-out walk issued to Hegre. And that'll now bring us to Cooper Bowman with a man on first and 1 out here in the bottom half of the 5th inning, with Post 22 up 10-2 over the Rocky Mountain Lobos. Bowman steps in, 2 for 3, pair of singles, an RBI, and a run scored. And he looks at a first pitch called strike at his knees, 0-1. Hegre takes his lead off of first. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. And the check to first is low and scooped by first baseman Knauer. No balls and a strike. And the pitch. Called, strike, a nice fastball from Holmes. 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, and the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball is at the letters. 1-2 now to Bowman. Hegre on first, 1 out, bottom of the 5th. It's a 10-2 Hardhats lead. 1-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. On a high inside fastball, not every day Cooper Bowman is rung up. But there is out number 2 with a man on first here in the bottom of the 5th. And that brings up Jack Sorensen. Sorensen's 0 for 2. Walk and a run scored, and he's also reached on an error, grounded out to third. Hegre on second, 2 outs, and the first pitch to Sorensen is too far inside for ball 1. And then Pifo from behind the plate tried to check at Hegre at first. He was back. Hegre leads off at first. And the pitch is swung on, chopped on to third. Stops made on the play by Nelson. Nelson's throw to first is off track. Sorensen safe. Hegre was taking off for second in the sequence. He advances to third on the throw. Some nice heads-up base running by Matt Hegre. And I'm not sure if that's an E5 or an infield hit. They've ruled it a hit. That's a 50-50 coin toss, I think, because the throw was off track, but Sorensen did make it a tough out. So an infield single to Sorensen now brings up Jace Caldwell with men on the corners, and he looks at a first pitch strike. 0-1 to Caldwell, who was 1 for 3. His lone hit, he got all of his money's worth for. A grand slam in the bottom of the first. Next pitch swung on, ball's hit high in the air to shallow right center. Coming in from second to make the catch is Vassar, and that will end the bottom half of the 5th. Well, the Hardhats get no runs on a hit, no errors charged to the Lobos with men left on the corners. We have played 5 innings of baseball. Post 22 still has a 10-2 lead. We'll take a step aside, folks, and when we come back, we'll have the top of the 6th inning. An 8-9-1 slated to hit for the Lobos. We will be right back here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Congratulations to whoever just won the 50-50 raffle here at the Fitz. $1,116, I think I heard. That's incredible. My goodness. What else is incredible is with an 88 pitch count, Zach Weitzel has made his way back on the mound to start off the top half of the 6th inning. Against the Lobos. Through 5, the Hardhats have 10 runs on 9 hits with no errors in the field. And the Lobos have 2 runs on 9 hits and a pair of errors defensively. Mark Benetti alongside you here on ESPN Rapid City, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. And as always, streamed live on Hardhats-TV. Will Vassar steps in against Weitzel and looks at a first pitch strike at his knees. Nice fastball from Weitzel. 0-1 to Vassar, who is 2 for 2. With a pair of 2-out singles. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on, ball's pushed to the opposite side. Messenger can't make the play. And it goes into right field for a base hit. That was perfectly hit right between Messenger and Sorensen. And Vassar goes 3 for 3 with a hat trick of singles, and that'll bring us to the 9-hole hitter. And it looks like it's going to be Keanu Cobb that comes in. Cobb will come in to pinch hit in the spot that Brian Bruxport had. Bruxport went 0 for 1, as did Noah Brewer, the left fielder. And the first pitch is ripped foul, and it hits the rope attaching the mesh to the Zamarix noodle pole. That's a very interesting thing to hit. 0-1 the count here to Cobb. Right-handed batter, very tall stance, and the next pitch is outside, 1-1. He doesn't necessarily look like a tall person, but it's almost that Derek Jeter-esque where his hands are very high in his stance. Here's the 1-1, and that's upstairs. 2 balls and a strike now to Cobb. Keanu Cobb has Vassar on first with no one out here in the top of the 6th. The Hardhats with a 10-2 lead. 2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. 2-2. That was a big swing from Cobb. He was looking for the money ball on that one and just missed by a bit. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Weitzel still looking for that elusive third strikeout. And the 2-2. Swung on, ball's fouled, and Cobb stays alive. 2-2. Top of the order is on deck. Jeff Hoggett is on deck. Check to first and back safely is Vassar. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. And here comes the 2-2 pitch. Missed low and away, and the count goes full. Payoff pitch coming from Weitzel to Cobb. Weitzel 4 pitches away from the century mark. Here's the payoff pitch to Cobb. Swung on, ball's weakly hit to third. Hegre charges, gets the stop, and he's going to hang on to the ball. That was a smart play by Hegre. Trying to run on the throw on the run like that. That would have been a very tight play at first anyway. That'll be an infield single for Cobb, pinch hitting. And first and second, with no one out, that'll bring up Jeff Hoggett. Post 22 up 10-2. If they keep this lead into the middle of the 7th, the game will end. That is in jeopardy right now. First pitch is fouled to the mesh behind home plate. 0-1. The run rules in this tournament are 15 runs after 5 innings of play, 8 after 7. Hardhats have an exact 8-run lead right now. Hoggett is 2 for 3, single, a double, and a run scored. And on first and second, and no outs for him. 0-1 pitch, swung on, ball's hit high in the air. Infield fly rule is invoked, and that'll be out number 1. First and second, 1 out. Sam Cathcart, the center fielder, comes up. He started up 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, but then he singled and scored the last time he was up, so he's 1 for 3. Weitzel gets a sign, looks around the diamond. First pitch is fouled to the mesh. 0-1. Cathcart has men on first and second with 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Double play will get the Hardhats out of it, and they already have one in this ballgame. Jaron Pifo hitting a 6 unassisted 3 double play in the top of the 4th. 0-1 pitch is a breaking ball low. 1-1. Cathcart has Cade Nelson on deck if we get that far, if the double play does not end the inning. Nelson 1 for 1 with a pair of walks. 1-1 pitch to Cathcart. Swung on, ball's hit to second. Messenger the stop. To second for 1. Bowman to first for 2. Got it. And that'll end it. 4-6-3 double play in the book, and the Hardhats strand a man on base in scoring position for the Lobos. No runs on 2 hits, no errors. Man left on, and after 5.5 innings of play, Post 22 still has their 10-2 lead intact. We'll take a step aside and come right back with the bottom half of the 6th. The top of the order slated, with Zach Sumption, Alex Weaver, and Todd Stevens slated to hit. We'll be right back here on ESPN Rapid City and on Hardhats-TV. Post 22 Hard Hats baseball here on ESPN Rapid City is presented by Courtesy Subaru, by Shields, Qdoba Mexican Eats, Renewal by Anderson, Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews, the Mustang Disaster Cleanup, and the Man Salon. Another pitcher comes out for the Lobos after Jeb Holmes only threw 15 pitches. In 1 inning of relief, he struck out 1 and allowed a hit, no runs. Keanu Cobb is now out on the mound for the Lobos. Cobb came in to pinch hit in the 9-hole for Noah Berner, who was then pinch hit for with Brian Bruxvort, the relief pitcher. And now Cobb in that spot. He came in to pinch hit and takes over pitching duties. Zach Sumption, Alex Weaver, Todd Stevens in that order, slated to hit in this inning. If the Hard Hats somehow score 7 runs in the frame, the game will come to an end. If not, then they have to preserve their lead in the top of the 7th at 8 runs, or whatever it is after this frame, and then they will end the game early. First pitch, low and away, 1-0 to Sumption. Sumption's 1 for 3, started off 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout, ended up singling on the first pitch he saw the last time he was up. 1-0 pitch, misses low, 2 balls, no strikes. And here is the 2-0 pitch. And that is high and inside, 3-0. The 3 batters due up in this inning are combined 3 for 8. They've all got a hit. 3-0 to Sumption, a called strike. Fastball in the outside corner. And Cobb throws his first strike in relief. 3 balls and a strike to Sumption. Pitch is fouled. And the count goes full at 3-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes the count now to Sumption. And Cobb's first payoff pitch in relief is low and in the dirt for ball 4. Leadoff walk issued to Sumption. Second consecutive plate appearance in which he has seen the base path. And that'll bring up Alex Weaver. Weaver's 1 for 3. Started off with a single. Twice has been retired in right field. And it looks like we're going to have a mound visit here with Cobb. Interesting to see that after 1 batter, there is a mound visit for Cobb. Because if there's another one, he's removed from the ball game. So unless there's a concern on the mound, I don't see why we'd have the mound visit after just 1 batter and a walk on a full count. Hard Hats have a 10-2 lead here in the bottom half of the 6th. 10 runs on 9 hits with no errors. And for the Lobos, 2 runs on 11 hits with 2 errors. Seven of their 11 hits came in the last 3 innings, too. The Lobos only once have been shut out in an inning. That was the 3rd, as far as hits are concerned. Cobb back to it after the mound visit. First pitch to Weaver, called strike. Fastball right at his belt. Down the middle, it's 0-1. Weaver again 1 for 3. Started off with a single. He is retired to right field twice. Fly out and a line out. Check to first, Sumption's back. That was quite a fast pickoff throw from Cobb. Well played. Sumption leads off at first. Here's the 0-1. Too far inside, and it's off the glove, and Sumption's going to take off for second. As unable to hang on to it was Pifo. And so Sumption, off the passed ball, will go to second, and it's a ball and a strike now to Weaver. And now time is called by Pifo. He's going to have a quick word with Cobb. Sumption now in scoring position on second, with Alex Weaver up. Todd Stevens is on deck. Stevens is 1 for 2 with a hit by pitch, a single, a stolen base, and a run scored. So he's had quite the night. Cobb looks to second. 1-1 pitch, swung on, balls hit to third. Nelson gets the stop and checks Sumption. Throw to first is in time. That'll be out number 2. Excuse me, out number 1. My apologies. 1 down with Sumption still on second, and that'll bring us to Todd Stevens. Stevens steps in again, 1 for 2 with a single, a run scored, a stolen base. He's also been hit by a pitch, and he's lined out to second. Keanu Cobb from the stretch. Called strike. Right at the belt to Stevens, and he knew it. Stevens wears his heart on his sleeve in the batter's box. If he knows he got burned by a strike or he should have swung at a strike, he'll let you know. 0-1 pitch. That goes off his bucket. Are they saying he's got to stay? No, they're saying he's got to stay. They say he leaned into it. And so Sumption has to stay at second. And Stevens has to stay. Now, Yogi Milslegel made the call behind home plate, and Coach Torvey's coming out and saying, hey, look, he's trying to duck away from it. And Stevens, it hit him while he was trying to avoid contact. That's how I would see it. But they're not going to give that to Stevens. Instead, because they say he leaned into it, they're calling it strike 2. So it's 0-2 now to Todd Stevens. Cobb a pitch away from a big second out. And the 0-2 caught him looking, strike 3. And that'll be the first strikeout in relief for Cobb, and that turned out into a big sequence. 2 outs with Sumption on second, and now that'll bring up Mason Messenger. Stevens visually disappointed, and I gotta have to agree with him here on that one. Again, you're trying to avoid contact, and the ball happens to hit you. That's not your fault. You tried to get out of the way. It was a breaking pitch, and it hit you. There's nothing you could do about that. Ball and no strikes the count here to Messenger. He looked at ball 1 low and away. 1-0 pitch, popped up high in the air. Shallow center field. Cathcart comes from center, makes the catch, and that puts an end to the inning. Well, the Hardhats get no runs, no hits, no errors, but they strand Zach Sumption on second in scoring position. We've played 6 innings of baseball. If the Hardhats cannot relinquish a run for 3 outs, they will end this game early and finish pool play a perfect 5-0 here in the Firecracker Tournament. We'll be right back with Cade Nelson, Ben Knauer, and Garrett Fisher, barring any substitution, slated to hit for the Lobos here in the top of the 7th on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Connor King is now out to pitch for the Hardhats, taking over for Zach Weitzel. What a quality start Zach Weitzel had. 6 innings, he allowed 11 hits and 2 runs, both of which were earned. He struck out 2 on 102 pitches. And now Connor King comes in to take over on the mound. Last night, he pitched just a third of an inning against Premier West and didn't allow anything in that 1/3 of an inning. He took over for Todd Stevens, who went an inning and 2/3. And King pitched the last out on defense that the Hardhats needed. So they will call to him 2 nights in a row. And to be quite honest, King threw, barely 10 pitches last night. So he should be relatively rested and ready to rock for this 1 inning he's coming in. It'll be lefty on lefty to start off. He has Cade Nelson, the starting pitcher, turned third baseman, followed by Ben Knauer, the first baseman, and Garrett Fisher, the third baseman turned left fielder, barring any substitutions. Top of the 7th, the Hardhats are up 8. If they can hang on to this for 3 outs, game's over. First pitch from King misses low for ball 1. Nelson's 1 for 1 with a single and a pair of walks. And his 1-0 from King is upstairs. Fastball, it's 2-0. Knauer is 0 for 2 with a sac fly RBI. And Fisher is 0 for 1, also with a sac fly RBI and a walk. 2-0, called strike on a changeup. Right at the belt of Nelson, it's 2-1. And the 2-1 pitch. Swung on, balls lined into right field. Jace Caldwell has the defensive substitutions there, and it drops in front of him for a base hit. Nelson starts off with a leadoff single. And that'll bring up Ben Knauer, the first baseman. Nelson, 2 for 2 now on the ballgame. His second single of the night. Knauer again 0 for 2. A line out to left, a fly out to right, a sac fly to center. That knocked in a run. First pitch is a fastball high and away. 1-0. Hardhats are up 10-2. If they don't allow a run in this inning and get out of it, the ball game ends. Top of the 7th. 1 on, no one out. Next pitch is up high again. 2-0. Two balls, no strikes, the count. And the pitch. Swung on, ball's turned on high in the air to left field. Alex Weaver's on his horse. He's on the run at the wall, and he makes the catch. What a play by Alex Weaver again. He's been dynamite in left field. And he rightfully gets raucous applause. One down with a man on first for the Lobos, and that'll bring up Garrett Fisher, the left fielder. Alex Weaver, have yourself a night. He made another great play, sliding play, to end the top half of the 5th with a man in scoring position. First pitch from King to Fisher is up high, 1-0. Fisher 0 for 1. Ground out, a walk, and a sac fly RBI. Here is his 1-0 pitch. And that missed low, 2-0. If he hits into a double play, the ball game comes to an end. 2 balls and no strikes the count. And King's pitch is a breaking ball high and away, 3-0. 3 balls, no strikes to Garrett Fisher. Started off the game at third base. Went to left field after Nelson came into play in the corner. Next pitch is a called strike on the outside corner. Be 3-1 now from King to Fisher. Jaron Pifo, the catcher, is on deck, barring any substitutions. 3-1 misses low for ball 4. And so Fisher walks, and that'll advance Nelson to second. First and second with 1 out. Double play still in effect to end the game. That'll bring up Jaron Pifo. 1 for 3. Pifo's already hit into a double play. He's grounded out to third, and it was 6 unassisted, 3 that ended, or excuse me, that rung up 2 outs in the top of the 4th. Hardhats got out of that inning unscathed. King looks into Pifo. Looks to second. Here is his first pitch. Breaking ball low and inside, 1-0. Pifo singled the last time he was up. That was in the top of the 5th with 2 outs. And his 1-0 is high and away. 2 balls and no strikes. And now the pitching coordinator, Ryan Clapperich, will come out and have a quick word with his lefty. Schedule of events tomorrow has changed slightly. The 11 a.m. game has been moved to 9 a.m. and the 2 o'clock game has been moved to 11 a.m. The 9 o'clock game features the Missoula Mavericks and the Merced Volunteers. Missoula Mavericks out of Montana, Merced out of California. Both teams finish with a 1-4 record in pool play. They will go head-to-head. Premier West will take on Rocky Mountain regardless of if they win or lose this game. And the championship will be between the Hardhats and Wayne Newton, 346 at 5 o'clock. Missoula beat Merced 10-5 yesterday. First pitch to Pifo hit high in the air. Right field side. Foul territory. Caldwell in, and he can't make the catch. And Pifo's count now goes to 2-1. Rocky Mountain lost to Premier West 6-3. So a rematch there, and obviously we all know what happened with the Hardhats and Wayne Newton. How crazy that game was on Sunday night. 2 balls and a strike to count to Pifo. And King deals the 2-1. And that's upstairs, 3 balls and a strike. Men on first and second with 1 out. Here in the top of the 7th, the Hardhats are up 8, trying to hang on to this lead and end the game early. 3-1, swung on and fouled. And the count goes full. Pifo staring at a full count. Very crucial for the Hardhats because if it's ball 4, it's bases loaded, 1 out. If it's strike 3, the pressure's relieved a bit. King looks around, and the lefty deals his payoff. Swung on, ball's popped high in the air. Infield fly rule is invoked, and Cope or Bowman underneath it for formality, and that is out number 2. Two down with men on first and second, potentially the last out of the ball game. Aaron Laux. This gentleman 2 for 3 on the night. 1 out away are the Hardhats from ending this one prematurely. First pitch. Swung on. Ball's hit high in the air. Shallow left field. Weaver on the run, as is Bowman from short. Bowman makes the catch, and that will end the ball game. Post 22 takes the win 10-2. They go undefeated in pool play. 5-0 in the Firecracker tournament. Post 22 takes the win, and of their 5 games played, 4 of them ended early, 3 by run rule, 1 by rain. How crazy is that? Post 22 did not play a full 9-inning game until Sunday when they took on Wayne Newton post 346. And a great job, well done by the Hardhats, who have now set up the rematch for tomorrow night against the Wayne Newton post 346 side out of Terre Haute, Indiana. Final numbers across the board for the Hardhats: 10 runs on 9 hits with no errors. And for Rocky Mountain, 2 runs on a dozen hits, 2 errors. Zach Weitzel got the win. He's now 6-0 on the season. Good to see his performance was spot on for the Hardhats. And the game finished at 9:19, just over 2 hours. 2 hours and 16 minutes was the game. Folks, we'll take a step aside. When we come back, we will recap tonight's matchup, and we will also recap the schedule of events for tomorrow, the championship and placement game for the Firecracker tournament presented by Camping World. We'll be right back in just a few moments here on ESPN Rapid City and Hardhats-TV. Post 22 Hardhats baseball here on ESPN Rapid City is presented by Courtesy Subaru, by Shields, Qdoba Mexican Eats, Renewal by Anderson, Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews, the Mustang Disaster Cleanup, and the Man Salon. Post 22 takes the win over the Rocky Mountain Lobos. The final score was 10-2 after 6.5 innings of regulation, in which the Hardhats, again, I find it so crazy. Of their 5 games, 4 of them ended early, 3 of them by the run rule, and 1 by the elements. The only full game they played was against the team that they face tomorrow night for the Firecracker title, Wayne Newton post 346. Post 22 started this game off with a bang. Zach Weitzel, a very efficient first inning pitching, 14 pitches, only allowed a pair of hits, and he struck out 1. And one of the base runners was caught stealing as well. So the Hardhats kept the Lobos off the board in the first. Bottom of the first, they had another field day of an inning in which 13 gentlemen came to the batter's box. And the biggest exclamation point of the 8-run frame was Jace Caldwell's grand slam in the bottom of the first that ballooned the Hardhats' lead from 1-0 to 5-0 within one swing of the bat. Post 22 would add 3 more runs following the grand salami, and it would be 8-0 heading into the second inning. Both teams would be held off the scoreboard as we go then to the bottom of the third inning. And in the bottom of the third, Post 22 would add another 2 runs. Todd Stevens got on the base path with a single and stole around. Matt Heggery walked, and then Cooper Bowman hit an RBI single. And then Jack Sorensen had an error over to third base, and it knocked in a run. So Post 22 would have a 10-0 lead that would then get cut into in the top of the fifth as a leadoff double from Jeff Hoggett and a single to follow would set the table for a Cade Nelson walk to load the bases. Back-to-back sac fly RBIs from Ben Knauer and Garrett Fisher would make it 10-2, but the Hardhats would shut the door. Zach Weitzel again in the start. 6 innings pitched. He gave up 11 hits, but only 2 runs. Struck out a pair on 102 pitches in the start. And he only walked 3 in the effort as well. Post 22, fantastic job in this tournament as always. And now the lights are coming off and our fireworks spectacle is set to begin in just a few moments for all of those here in attendance. They have the patriotic playlist going, which I should just take as a cue to sign off and call it a night. Let's recap the standings and tomorrow for you one last time. The Hardhats finished at the top of the standings, 5-0 record, undefeated in pool play. Terre Haute in second place at 4-1. Wayne Newton posts 346. Rocky Mountain finished 2-3, as did their Rocky Mountain rivals, the Premier West Cardinals. The Missoula Mavericks and the Merced Volunteers both finished 1-4. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Missoula will play Merced. At 11 a.m., Rocky Mountain will play Premier West. And at 5 o'clock for the championship of the 2018 Firecracker Tournament presented by Camping World, it'll be Wayne Newton 346 against the Post 22 Hardhats. All 3 games tomorrow are going to be 7-inning ball games. So they will end a lot earlier than you think, and it's not because of a run rule at that point. Folks, thanks so much for joining us. For all of us with the Hardhats organization, from the GM Wayne Sullivan to the head coach Kelvin Torvey and company, as well as our good friends at Halgo Broadcasting and ESPN Rapid City, Chris Halgo and Ian Rambo. This is Mark Benetti saying so long, good night, enjoy your holiday tomorrow, and we will see you for the Firecracker Championship at 5 o'clock.